Well, good morning. Well, it's a great day to be up here, be able to share a few thoughts that I had, because today, being the first full day of winter in the crazy winter fall we've had, that only had, it seems to me, just a couple of cold days. I measure it by the bird bath, whether there's ice on it or not, because they come up and peck on it, say, put some hot water on this. But we just experienced the longest night, and the nights ahead, we celebrate not so much because it's dark, but because we know that from now on, the days are going to get continuously longer until spring. And so that's what has caused people to celebrate the solstice all throughout history, and actually probably before it was history and written down. Because these seasons come and go, they're cyclic, we notice them, but the seasons in the external world can also be at odds with the seasons that are going on inside. And sometimes we can't tell. When we look at someone's face, do we know the seasons that they're going through? Perhaps some darkness that is upon them? Not always. And the Celtic tradition, when they looked at the way of the change of the seasons, they looked and they brought greenery into their homes where they were so that they'd be able to remember that spring is coming. Don't worry. Don't worry. You know, when I was putting this talk together, I was reminded of a song. Do you remember that old Simon and Garfunkel? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Because we have that darkness all the time, and a light, and it's a question of where we're going to pay our attention, which one we're going to feed, which one we're going to notice and learn from, and which one we celebrate. And maybe we do both the dark and the light. And it's these dark times, those nights when it seems like the night is pretty long and I wake up maybe at 3:40, I'm going, isn't it time to get up yet? That my practices come in the most handy. Because then I can get up, maybe I can read something. I'm a writer, so I actually wind up writing down, scribbling on some blank paper, which I already have plenty of. And when I look at it, my mind, my body, and my soul oftentimes craves something a little bit different. Something that I can hold on to. Ernest Holmes said this. He says, the light of our being is the very essence of God within us. And I'm reminded, you know, he has that little book, this thing called You. And in it, he invites us to make it personal. Go first person. So how would we change this? We'd say, the light of my being is the very essence of God within me. How about we try that together? The light of my being is the very essence of God within me. So when I feel that, I ground in that, then I know there's nothing to worry about, no darkness boogie-woogie that I have to be fearful of, because I have that essence, that light of God within me. So it's more effective, you notice, when we say it in first person. And so when we treat, that is the affirmative prayer, you're with the practitioner or you do it by yourself, bring it into that first person and you own it. It's mine. I am that light. I am that health. I am that goodness. And it's powerful because we're saying, I am. I am. So he says that all these treatments begin within, with me, with the inside, because I can't do anything about the world, but I can surely do a lot about myself. And if I start with that place, then the whole rest of it falls into place. But guess what? You can lose sight of it. I know none of you ever have. No. But I know that I've found myself forgetting, oh, right, yep. But we have this season a time when we can really notice the light because the nights are so long. So when that light does come in the morning, these days about like 7:30 in the morning, we go, all right, there's pink sky out there. It's a blue sky day. This is a great day to be alive. And I have this picture up here. Everyone probably knows this gal from the Olympics. But this year's theme was a grand rising. So a grand rising is all about taking where we are and celebrating, being happy for what we're doing, where we're going, despite any challenges in the outer world. We can have a grand rising. We've had it here in our own center as we have risen through various events. We had a big installation of our Reverend Tracy this fall. We have come to know more as she's become our senior minister. We've had all of the kinds of ups and downs that you can expect in life because life keeps coming. But you see, Simone Biles, after she's finished this grand performance that she's just had, she's triumphant, right? And today's talk is about landing it. We've been working on it all year, right? But now we're coming into the home stretch of 2024. How do we land it? How do we have that solid landing that prepares us for this next new year? So we want a strong landing so that we can move on to the next step. Now it's funny because we just see the triumph, right? You see the picture, psh, they've done it, or the person after the home run, they've done it. What we don't always see is the hours, the days, the weeks of practice, the many times they did fall, the times that they faltered, that they weren't quite so ready to make it happen. Well, we've experienced that in our own lives, right? You're trying to make things happen, you're doing your best, and you stub your toe. The other morning, I don't know what I did, but I woke up and I went, oh, Charlie horse, oh, you ever had that? And oh, and what I do then is stop and let's stretch that out. But if I didn't practice standing, they say we should practice standing on one foot and then practice standing on the other foot. It's all about balance. Then we can be prepared because practice doesn't just make perfect. We're already perfect. But practice makes progress. If we keep doing it, we get more comfortable with it, whatever the it is. And if you're like me, there's more than one it going on all the time. So we have to kind of play with what is in front of us. What's our most highest priority right now? What's your highest priority right now? To breathe, to be present, to bring joy into your life, to have something more than you had yesterday, more love, more grace, more peace, more beauty around you. So I'm planting bulbs for the spring, knowing that in the spring it's going to be great. But right now, I just have to, with the big old stick, make holes in the dirt, put stuff in, and hope the squirrels and badger don't find where I put the new ones. But as we practice, sometimes self-doubt comes up. Why am I doing this? I'm not that great. I'm never going to be able to do that. And where do we hear that? Is that our voice? Or is it someone else's voice that we've agreed with? Now, Ernest Holmes says, self-esteem is already ours. He says, let's waste no further time looking for the secret of success or the key to happiness. We've already got the key. He says, already the door is open, and whosoever will may enter. Well, that's good news, right? You don't have to go knocking. Well, where's my key? I don't think I brought a key. I didn't have a key. I'm not so sure about this. Because the door is already open. It's already ours to have. So why don't we just go ahead and take it? What's the deal? What voice is telling us that we can't have it? When we think about a door being open, we can say, well, how can I help? Do I need help? Maybe I have not expressed my need for help. Because everyone says, oh, well, he's got it already. Nothing, he doesn't need any help. Everything's going great. But if I don't reach out and ask, then I don't give you the opportunity to give. If I don't admit that there's some things that could be better, or a chime that wants to be answered, how would I know? Because most of us don't have like the little sign on our forehead saying what we need. And in fact, a lot of times we were taught it isn't so cool to show off your vulnerability. But in fact, if you don't show that off, then other people around you are afraid. So I teach across the street at Embry-Riddle, and I always wonder, why aren't they asking questions? Because when I was a student, I was asking questions all the time. I'd ask questions that had nothing to do with the lesson. But I said, why aren't they asking? So I gave them an example. I thought I was the dumb one. I would ask these questions. Oh, man, everyone else must really get it. Then the midterms came. It was good that I asked the questions because I understood it. Who cares about them, right? But if we can be that vulnerable self, then we invite others to show up the way they are, the way that they want to be that light. So I'm trying some new experiment. I'm working with student as partner, and one of the things that we have to do is we try and gather trust with our student partner, and then the student partner is supposed to help with the other students to try and give them that feeling that they can ask, that no question is a dumb question. Because I might have forgotten that I know a few things since I've been doing this life for a while, and they're fresh out, They're like sponges, but they might not know all the things, and I forget. And so I might jump right into the middle, and they're going, well, how did he get to this point? And the student helper will say, question, now how did you get from nothing to there? And I'll go, oh, thank you. And then I can explain the lead up to it. But if I didn't show myself as vulnerable and allow myself to be corrected, I'll never change. Because I think, well, I'm already perfect, right? So I'm just doing a great job. Too bad that they're not asking any questions. I guess they're getting it. And then the quiz comes. And why are they not getting these? So vulnerability knows no season. So if we can remember that and just allow ourselves to be at any time of the year, then more likely we'll have that Merry Christmas spirit year-round. But what happens? Well, there's this part of us that we don't want people to see. That's why we might not like vulnerability. We call it the shadow side. The side of us that maybe we think, if they only knew the truth about me, well, they probably wouldn't be my friend. I don't know, they'd never talk to me again. Because you know what? I've made mistakes. I get colds. I say things that are hurtful sometimes. I do stupid things. And yet, I don't want anyone to catch that part. I want to keep that part hidden. But the shadow side comes out in the darkness. It might come out for you, I don't know when, but for me, about 3:23 a.m. And then it's going, making these little talking sounds. I'm trying to figure out whose voice that is. Go back to sleep, go back to sleep. So when we look out and we do the work to say, you know what? If I am part of that light, if I am that God within, then guess what? Shadow and light, good and wrong, right and wrong, there is a field out there beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. So what if we saw ourselves as that perfect, whole, and complete that we say we are. Then we wouldn't worry about slipping out a little bit of shadow here and there, because then we would say, it's okay, because this shadow side is just another side of me. And sometimes I have to embrace it, and sometimes I have to say, oh, forgive this one who just, burped. The virtual burp. So in this grand rising we've had this year, there's been a grand rising for more growth. And embracing our shadow side, the darkness, knowing that light is coming, light is on its way, and I can have both dark and light and be that complete person. Because it's the complete person that can be open for joy. I don't have to hide things. So Psalm 119 speaks of this. It says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So we say that words are powerful. When we speak our treatments, we speak them in the affirmative, already here tone, present tense. So that powerful word lights our way. And so we say, I am perfect, whole, and complete. Then that statement lights the way forward, because now the path is clear. I'm already saying it's already good. So how can it be otherwise? It's a great reminder, especially at this time of year. And so any depression or sadness, any of that, we don't have to worry about it, because after all, no dam can hold back the river from eventually flowing to the sea. So our light can't be held back by any little instance of darkness or anything that we say, oh, I don't know if that should have happened. Because it's all part of the whole. And we live in a marvelous time, don't you think? Yes. So this picture that's here is from space. This is the International Space Station. They're watching the sunrise coming up over the East Coast. And you see the shadow still over the middle part of the country and the West Coast. And in space, they get to watch the sunrise and sunset 10 times a day. Here on Earth, we have to wait the whole day round for that. And here in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, it's a longer time at night. My sister just went to New Zealand, and it'll be summer solstice for them. So the longest day for them that they get to experience down under. So this light of the new year is a remarkable thing that we can see and we can experience virtually. And did you see recently they had a Zoom from space, and they were able to give a little conference from up there, and not too much of a delay. They're only a few hundred miles up after all, and light travels pretty quick, right? So although we can't ignore the darkness, we don't have to huddle around an old fire to keep ourselves warm and to keep the coyotes away. I was sitting in my backyard yesterday, and one comes loping along up the walking path right up by the top of my backyard. And I said, hey, coyote. And he went, what? He says, how did he know my name? But Ernest Holmes said it well. He said, refuse to dwell in darkness. Refuse to dwell in darkness of unbelief. Instead, boldly step through the places of doubt and plant your feet on the solid rock of faith. Plant your feet on the solid rock of faith. So faith in the good, faith in your friends, family, faith in the fact that the sun's going to rise tomorrow, faith in this center, faith in light. By having these faiths, then we can be on solid ground. And it's all about choice, right? Because if we place our energy in faith, then we know, just like planting the bulb, it's going to come up in the spring. And maybe I'll have to water it because we haven't had any rain. But snow and rain will come, and if not, I'll just go out and give it a little extra. But I, as a gardener, choose which to plant. Now, I'm a daffodil person, so I am going to plant another 50 daffodils. And this year I went to also some paper whites, so that I have a variety up there. And then I've already got irises, which I'm splitting this year, so it's a big year. And then some of them I'm going to pull out. Some of them I'm going to weed away, and I'm pruning back wisteria, because, man, it grows. Got to watch out. So I choose which to nurture and which to throw back into the compost to make soil for the other ones that I want to happen. So the same thing, we have to choose. We have to choose which part we want. So in this next little one, you can see, bang. So she comes running up, bang, sticks the landing. So just think about that for us as we look at this next idea, because you can watch this over and over and over. It just keeps going. And you say, how did she do that? But we can recap and just remember, in this new year, I am the light. So we can take that with us. In this new year, I am the light. Through seasons, through ups, through downs, daily, hourly, every moment, we can say, I am the light. I am the light. So it doesn't matter how long you've forgotten. It doesn't matter how long you've been asleep. What matters is that we're waking up to the remembrance and the knowing that I am the light. Let's take that into prayer. Just recognize with me that power, that presence, that light that is everywhere. It's here in this room. It's here in the breath that breathes us. It's in the sound of the waterfall behind us. The music that comes to our ears. There is no place, no time where this power, this presence, this light fails to be. So that means that we can take advantage of it. That means it's with me, with you, with us, at every moment, at every time, in every place. And if that's the case, then I know that this new year is the best year yet. And it's a year to really live, to really take hold, because I am the light. You are the light. We are the light together. I am so grateful for the knowing of this teaching, and I give great thanks for this time, this light, this presence. And I just let go and let God. And we can anchor that by saying, and so it is.